We're reading Volume 6 of the Bible story. Um, this is my sixth book of the set of 10 that I have of the Bible story. My book still has the dust jacket, even though it's still kind of a little torn. But it's a clear dust jacket, and the books are blue. And this volume has two ladies on a balcony, one in yellow and the other in blue and red. And we are at Part 2, Story 13, Broken Promises. Okay? The reading of the Word of God went on day after day. As a result, there came a great revival of godliness. In their hearts, the people wanted to be good and please the Lord. 3 hours a day, they listened to Ezra and other priests read to them. And 3 hours a day, they confessed their sins and worshiped the Lord their God. One day, one of the leaders cried, "Stand up and bless the Lord your God forever and ever." They stood. Then, with bowed heads, they joined in this beautiful prayer. Blessed be thy glorious name, which is exalted above all blessings and praise. Thou, even thou, art Lord alone. Thou hast made heaven, the heavens of heavens, which all their hosts, the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that is therein, and thou preserves them all. The host of heaven worships thee. Solemnly and grateful, they thanked God for all that he had done for his people from the day he had called Abraham out of Ur of Chaldees to the present time. For from the Exodus from Egypt, for the laws of truth given on Sinai, for bread from heaven, from victories in Canaan, and finally for deliverance from captivity. Ugh, sorry, got a bit of choked. All this that they said, thou hast done right, but we have done wickedly. To prove they really meant to do good, from now on, they drew up an agreement and signed it. Prince, priest, and people entered, and then it got the pause, into an oath to walk in God's law. In this document, they agreed, among other things, number one, that they would not let their girls marry heathen boys, or their boys marry heathen girls. Two, that they would not buy anything on the Sabbath. Ooh. Three, that they would pay so much a year to help keep up the temple service. Yeah. Four, they would pay their tithe to the priests and Levites. Nehemiah was the first to sign this document. Then all the other leaders signed it. What a solemn agreement it was. With the people thus pledged to do right and the wall built, Nehemiah felt it was a good time to go back to Medo-Persia and report to the king as he had promised to do. How long he stayed there we do not know. Certainly he must have been away from Jerusalem many months, possibly years. At last he got permission from the king to return, and it was a good thing he did. Already so soon, prince, priest, and the people forgotten the pledge they had made. Elijashib, 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 yeah, that's what it says. Eliashib, Elijashib, the high priest, had actually allowed Tobiah, or Tobiah, Tobiah, one of Israel's worst enemies, to move into the tithe room of the temple and live there. Oh, he lived it with the money. Oh, he became Uncle Scrooge. That's a reference that some of y'all catch. Nehemiah was furious. It grieves me sore, he said. Therefore, I cast forth all the household all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber. But Elisashib had done something much worse. He had allowed his son to marry the daughter of Sanballat, of all people. Nehemiah was so disgusted that he said, I chase him from me. As Nehemiah continued his inquiries, he found that the people had not kept their promise to pay their tithe, with the result that the Levites were starving. Oh, they were starving. He soon changed that. Then he noticed that on the Sabbath, which was supposed to be a holy day, the people were acting just as though they were it were an ordinary weekday. They were building, selling, harvesting, and traveling, seemingly without a thought that this was God's day. And then it has a picture of them up at the top signing the agreement. That's them signing the agreement. Like I said, it's not my camera, it's the way the book's printed. Fearlessly he went to the prince and told them what he thought. What evil thing is this that you do, and profane the Sabbath day? He stormed. Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all evil upon us and upon the city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. Always a man of action, Nehemiah determined to put a stop to this wrongdoing at once. So he set some of his own faithful servants at every gate, with orders to close them at sunset every Friday evening and not open them until after the Sabbath. He had built these gates as protection against Israel's enemy. Now he shut them to help his people remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So Nehemiah, the king's cupbearer, tried his best to bring Israel back to God, to keep them in the way of truth and righteousness, to save them from further punishment. At last, but few heeded his counsel, and the sad story of broken promises went on and on down the years. And then, of course, it has this guy shutting the gates. There it is. Guy shutting the gates. And that is the last story of part 2, and that was story 13. So that is the end of this part, and we're going to stop. I'm going to fix these up, get ready to post, and then I'll start reading the rest of the book. We got 2 more parts to go, and then I'll start on the next book. But right now, that was the end of part 1. No, part 2. We're not in part 1 anymore. We're in part 2. So that was the end of part 2. So we're going to take a break, and then I'll be back in a minute.